Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and I'm here this week with another Reavers deck for you. This week I'm coming up against the Curse Breakers. Now, I built a Reavers deck the other week, and it was a bit of a Skaven deck. By that I mean, I have a tendency when I build my Skaven decks to try and do too many things at once, or I have this grand plan that I'll do a lot of things, and I'll score a lot of glory, and then I'll use that glory to be able to boof up some of my guys, and then run down the field and chop some people up. But rarely do the cards then fall out the way I want, and it all goes terribly wrong. So this week I've tried to make a Reavers deck that is less random and is a bit more reliable, and part of that means that I've taken all 5 of my restricted cards in the objectives set. Now, just before I go into the list, we are playing the restricted list as normal, so all barred and restricted cards apply. We're also not bothering with our faction fractions at the moment, although to be fair I still do have 8 of my cards from the warband specific list. I do find that Garrek and his boys do have quite a nice set of specific cards. So my plan for this is, whilst I've picked a deck which I think I would take against anybody, this is against the Curse Breakers specifically, so I do have some ideas specifically around how I deal with the Curse Breakers. So let's start with the objectives. First card I've got is Blood for the Blood God. Score immediately if 3 or more of my guys make a charge action. Well, I all move pretty fast. I should be able to get 3 charges in, and it's instant score as well, so that's a nice quick early glory for me. I've then got It Begins, which is scoring an end phase if one guy from each side is dead. It's pretty much a given. I'm hoping I can kill one of his guys, and he will definitely kill at least one of mine, so that should be a nice easy one to score as well. I've then got Advancing Strike, which is kill someone in the enemy's territory. Again, it's instant score, which is nice. I do have 5 instant scores in this deck, and I'm really hopeful I should be taking Robin on in his own turf. I don't think he's got the speed or the numbers to be able to start outpacing me. And then I've got Alone in the Darkness. Advancing Strike is on the restricted list, as is Alone in the Darkness. Now, whilst there are 5 people in my warband, there's only 3 in Robin's, and I don't think he's going to group up too much, but if he does, I can hopefully manoeuvre things to maximise my chances of getting that, and it's 2 glory. And then got Change of Tactics, another one on the restricted list. Nice and easy. I can go on guard fairly far away from Robin and be fairly safe, and then I can charge, and it's another instant score. I've then got Conquest, 3rd end phase card, 2 glory. Should be fairly easy to score, especially if I get hammered, because the less people I have alive, as long as I've got 1, the easier it is to get them all in his half. The only problem is, of course, the more in his half I am, the more in range of him I am, and the more chance he's got of slapping me about. I've then got Making a Statement. Now, this is one of the big things in this deck. I'm going for Making a Statement. I'm hoping that I can get 3 objectives in my half, and if I can, I do have Desecrate, which will help me remove one of the objectives from my opponent's half. 3 glory mid-game, quite a nice thing to score. I also have Ploy Master, play 3 ploys. That should be fairly easy for me. I've got some cards to help up my hand size during the game, such as Jewel of Wits, so I'm hoping that Ploy Master should be scoreable. I've then got Precise Use of Force, another restricted card. I've got a lot of range on my damage. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, depending on who's around where, so I'm hoping I can whittle one of Robin's guys down and then take them out to score this. It's another instant score. I also have Supremacy. If I do have 3 objectives in my half, that is going to be a really nice boost. I also have Extreme Flank, which is the 5th and final restricted card, along with Precise Use of Force. Restricted Flank should be scoreable for me because I've got the speed. If I get it early on, I'll just spread my guys out and grab that quickly to grab some glory before I charge in. If not, I'll just see if I can grab it later on during the game. And the last card I have is What Armor. I've got a few options for Cleave in this deck, so I'm hoping I can score that, and it's another instant score card. And the main thing I'm going here, along with Making a Statement, is offensiveness. And nearly everything I've got is around doing extra damage, rolling extra dice, that kind of thing. So those are my objectives. What are the cards I'm going to use to help me score that glorious glory? Well, these are those. The first one is Desecrate. That's going to go hand in hand with Making a Statement. Run somebody into Robin's side, destroy one of his objectives, then hopefully he's only got 1, at most 2 objectives left in his half, and then I can hopefully try and score Making a Statement. Hopefully they come out at the same time. If Desecrate comes out early, I will have to just use it and show my hand a bit, but you know, I'm hoping with only 3 guys, Robin's not going to be able to slow me down too much on that front. Next is Final Blow. When one of my guys gets killed, I'll be able to do 1 damage back to them. One of my guys is going to die at some point, I might as well take a wound off Robin to return the favour. I then got Insensate. I do like this card, and Robin's guys pack a punch, so the ability to reduce him from 3 or 4 damage to 1 is a nice little poke in the eye. And then Corn Calls. Roll an extra dice for my first attack action. I do like Corn Calls. It's a nice card. I did want to take Blood Offering as well to get the 2 extra dice at the cost of a wound, but I just couldn't fit it in the end. if I had to change Corn Calls out, it would be for Blood Offering, because the extra 2 dice can be even nicer. Then got Distraction. It's nice and handy to be able to shove one of your enemy fighters away, and if Robin's standing on an objective, I can use that to shove them off and run somebody on right at the end, hopefully, maybe, possibly, you never know, never know. Or possibly use it to help move people away to help me score Alone in the Darkness. I've then got Jewel of Wits. This will help me increase my hand size and hopefully improve my chances of scoring Ploy Master. Fueled by Fury next, which enables me to reroll any attack dice in the next attack in the next activation. I'm going offensive, so the ability to reroll any dice if I roll an absolute tosh hand will be very helpful. I've then got Inspiration Strikes. My guys don't inspire very easily. 3 guys have to die. If you're coming up against Stormcast, that is not a very likely opportunity. So I'll be using this to hopefully beef up Sake early, and then use him to run across and hopefully one-shot one of Robin's guys. He'll die in response to that from a counter-attack, I have no doubt, but it's a pretty good trade-off, I think, Sake for a Stormcast. Spores of Battle. If I am a bit choked for glory, I do have a nice upgrade I want to use, and this is handy. And Quick Advance. Shove 2 of my guys. Could help me with Supremacy, could also help me with making a statement. So those are my Gambits. It's a nice tight deck, only 20 cards here. I'm veering away from 22 and especially 24 and up card decks. I just find they're a bit too random for my liking. So 20 cards it is. Those are my Gambits, and once I've used those Gambits to help me score the glorious glory, what am I going to spend it on? Well, the first is Blood Slick. Getting an extra defense dice on Garrek is very handy. I know 2 defense dice are 10 a penny these days with a lot of the new warbands, but poor old Garrek and his boys don't get that, so it will be useful to keep him alive a little longer. And then I've got Frenzy, which is a nice generic card which enables the fight to make roll an extra dice when they make a charge action. Well, I'm going to make lots of charges, so if I can get that on somebody, the extra dice will be handy. Acrobatic next, another extra defense dice for someone. Possibly I'll stick that on Garrett as well, along with Blood Slick, or maybe I'll stick it on someone like Sake. 2 defense dice, always nice, as I say. Concealed Weapon next. I'm going to be rolling lots of extra dice and re-rolling dice, so I'm hoping I can increase my chances of a crit, and that means +2 damage. That could actually be a one-shotter with nearly all of my guys on a Stormcast who hasn't been beefed up, so that could be very useful indeed. Deathly Fortitude next, +2 wounds, -2 move. The -2 move is a bit of a stinger, but you know what? I'll still be moving 3 once I'm inspired, and +2 wounds can make some of my guys quite tough indeed. Great Strength next, a +1 damage on all range 1 or 2 attacks. Nothing to be sniffed at there. Put that on Sayek or Garrek, can make them a one-shotting machine. Then got Light Armour. I'm not really great on defense, so the ability to roll extra dice and ignore crits, that could be very helpful. Again, stick that on Sayek if I can get him inspired early and run him across the board to one-shot someone quick. Little glass cannon, nothing to be sniffed at there. I've then got Fameway Crystal. This one is in here purely to help me with making a statement. Put it on a guy, use it, discard the card, and you can move them to a objective. Pretty straightforward. That almost definitely is going to be used at some point to try and help me score making a statement, or possibly Supremacy. Maybe both at the same time. Be nice. And then I've taken Butcher's Eye, which is if you roll a crit, you get Cleave. That helps with What Armour, although possibly maybe it's a bit overkill, but I am rolling a lot of dice and getting a lot of rerolls here, so I think that might just be useful for me, just to help increase my chances of scoring What Armour. I do also have Mutating Maul, which is 2 hammers and 2 damage, but then you can pick whether you have Cleave or Knockback 1. I'm not sure if it's worth taking both the Butcher's Eye and the Mutating Maul in the same deck. It does give me 2 extra options for Cleave over Sayx, and I don't know if I'm going to get both or either out, during the game. So maybe I'm overloading my deck with cards to help me with Cleave, maybe I'm not. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure. I think if I had to drop one, I would keep Mutating Maul and I would get rid of Butcher's Eye, especially this deck because 2 hammers and 2 damage is a nice solid attack regardless, and that's useful for any of my guys. Possibly in some of the more heavy hitting warbands I might not take Mutating Maul, I'd go for Butcher's Eye. But I don't know, we'll see how it plays. I've got both cards in this deck, and I used both cards last week as well. They're both very nice cards, they're both new in this season, and they increase your chances of getting Cleave, which against Stormcast, very handy, or any, shield rolling warbands, very, very, very useful. Slightly less so against non-shield rolling warbands, but then Mutating Maul sort of comes into its own a bit more there as well, because it's 2 hammers, which is nice, and you can change things to Knockback 1. So I don't know, I'll see how it goes. So that's my warband, that's my list. Those are my plans. Hopefully score making a statement after using Desecrate and using the Fameway Crystal to jump on an objective to score both Supremacy and making a statement at the end of round 1 is my dream. That probably won't happen, but I've got a lot of easy score glory in there, I think. I've got things like Alone in the Darkness, Change of Tactics, Ploy Master. I've got some nice easy scoring cards to help boost me on that roll. I've got 5 instant scores and I've got 1 third end phase. So I'm hoping that my deck is a little bit more focused this time. Garrek and his boys do need that glory. They do need upgrades because they don't inspire very easily. Now, I say don't inspire very easily. 3 people have to die. If you're coming up against someone like Sepulchral Guard or the Gits or Nightvault, then that could be very easy to achieve. But in general, it's not so easy. So I think Garrek's boys do need their Gambits and their upgrades, and for those to come off, you do need, especially the upgrades, you do need the objectives, and that's why I've ploughed all of my restricted cards into the objectives deck here. I don't think that's a massive problem for Garrek. He does have a lot of very nice Gambits anyway, and I think that if I had to get rid of a card out of this deck, I might get rid of Jewel of Wits and take Blood Offering to increase the offensiveness, and then there's the debate about Butcher's Eye or Mutating Maul. Both one, the other, which one, you know, what would you do there? Possibly I would take the Garrek specific upgrade in a more generic deck that gives you, you know, Trophy Hunter, that gives you an extra glory every time you kill someone. Going up against one of the more numerous warbands, that could be a real earner. But there we go, that's my deck, those are my plans. Let me know what you guys think. Are there any cards in there you definitely would take, wouldn't take, have taken, have never taken? Is this your deck? Have you won a tournament with it? You know, let me know what you guys think about all of this, because frankly, I'm just making it all up sitting in a room on my own. There's no one here, there's no one to talk to, it's just you guys. No one ever talks to me anymore. Anyway, we shall see you soon in the Mirrored City. Bye!